Hey, welcome to ControllerCast episode 2. I'm your host, Drew Weisenborn, and I am here with Dana, and I am also here with Cassie, who was on our previous episode. How you guys doing?
Good.
Good.
It's nice to have you on. Cassie is actually calling from the interwebs today, but still very happy to have. Hopefully the connection remains stable.
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay, awesome.
If not, I'm sure you guys will be able to carry it just fine.
We'll see. If this goes smoothly, we can keep doing it like this. But if not, if there's too much latency, or if there's the connection's off on one of our ends a lot, maybe I won't continue to do this because it just, it's not always the most efficient way to do it. But yeah, so welcome to the second episode. The topic of this episode is mobile gaming. Our last episode, episode 1, was on console gaming, where I talked with Steven and Cassie about the history of consoles and our experiences with each of them. So if you want to, you can find me at TP Weisengame on YouTube and Twitch. I do gaming content, I do music content, and I do some other occasional fun skits, little short movie clip things here and there. You can find Dana at dw.lin01 on Instagram. So make sure to give her a follow. So yeah, mobile gaming. I guess my first question to you guys is, where do you think mobile gaming started? Because I've talked to people about this, and it's always a different answer. So
I guess I would start with sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I think mobile gaming started from when they first introduced the Pac-Man machines. I feel like that's where old-fashioned gaming started from. But then continuing to mobile gaming when they first introduced cell phones and iPhones and technologies like those. That's kind of where everything started.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Cassie? What would you say?
I was gonna say it kind of depends on what your definition of mobile gaming is, because I know there were little handheld things. I don't know if the DS counts in that respect. Mobile literally translates to moving around. You don't have to be stationary to do it. So I guess the DS maybe, or and I don't know what they're called, but these little games where you could have pets or something and you had to keep it alive. I've heard about it, but I don't know what it is.
Oh, Tamagotchis? Yeah.
So yeah, that. So yeah, I don't know much about those, but I would say maybe with those things, if you count that as gaming.
I would have to agree with you. I think those are also kind of where everything kind of originated from with mobile gaming.
Yeah, and thank you for telling me, Cassie. I should probably set more of a basis for what mobile gaming is considered. And when you mentioned the DS, that's kind of interesting because it's the weird thing is that it's kind of because the DS was a console, but it also is kind of a mobile gaming, utility. I remember way back, and I think Dana and I both had these. We had these things called leapfrogs.
Leapfrogs, yeah.
Do you remember those?
Were awesome.
They had quirky little games. I can't remember exactly what they were about. It was way too long ago.
That was the thing before DSs. I would go into restaurants with my family, and there would be leapfrog games. Just play those during dinner.
Yeah, it was cool. Mobile gaming really started, and I think this is correct, with Tetris. Because Tetris was on a mobile device. It wasn't a phone, of course. It was in let me double check the date. Tetris.
I didn't know there was a mobile Tetris.
Neither did I.
1994. Yeah, so mobile gaming really, I define it as, games that you can play on your phone or any kind of device that isn't considered a major console. Because you can technically play games on your Switch on handheld mode, and that's technically mobile, because that's the whole thing about the Switch, was that it was going to be more portable. And you could take it anywhere and set it up. But that's still considered a console. So that's not what I mean. But Leapfrog, that I consider that it. And anything that aren't considered consoles. Anything, games you can take on the go. Yeah, it really started with, Tetris, and I'm not sure. Have you guys played Tetris?
Yeah.
I'm sure you've played Tetris.
Oh, I've done a little bit of Tetris, but it's not really my expertise, my cup of tea.
Yeah, well, it was when it came out. That was all people had for mobile gaming. That was before anything else. It was really, I can't remember what the device was called. Let me look this up. It says I'm gonna butcher this name, but the Haganuk MT2000. The MT2000 was actually a phone more than a calculator. It was a phone that was designed in Denmark. And you know what Tetris is. I guess the game that came after that was Snake.
Oh yeah,
The Snake that goes around on a grid, and you can control it, and you can
Snake.io or something like
no,
that.
No. It's not a .io. This is before that stuff. This is like 1997. I'll even show a picture. It looks like this.
Oh yeah.
You know what it's like? It's like that game. I know how to make an analogy that will work for you, Dana, because you played a lot of Webkins. It's like the game with the spiders where you continuously get longer and you can't run into yourself because you're on a grid and you have to eat things. But every time you eat something and get more points, your tail gets longer.
Yeah,
and it's harder to. Yeah, that's basically what Snake was. That's basically what that game is. That it's a very old version of Snake. Yeah.
I think it was with ants, not.
Yeah, it was
spiders,
with ants or whatever.
I remember that.
There are like two versions of it.
It was like on a picnic.
Yeah, that was
really?
with the grid. Yeah. But yeah. And then they had Space Invaders and Pac-Man. Those went onto mobile too, from different devices. I don't remember what the devices those were on were called. But they kind of looked like almost like the leapfrog thing. It was kind of like a thing where you just kind of hold like this. But yeah. But I guess moving on, Apple came out with the first iPhone, and they had some interesting games, and that's what a lot of people think of when they say mobile gaming is games on your phone, because
Yeah.
I think so many people have phones now, whether it be iPhone, Android, whatever. They all have games. You can all download games on all of them. Dana, and I know you and I both have iPhones. Cassie, you have an Android.
The superior phone, yes.
Well, but that's a conversation for a different day. The first game to come out on iOS, I guess, because I've never owned an Android phone, so I'm not too educated in that department of which game came out first for Android. But if I know for iOS, it was Angry Birds. That was the first game that came out that they released on Angry Birds, like a little game to play on your phone.
That was a fun game.
It was very fun. It's very fun. It's challenging too. It got challenging at times.
Yeah, all the different levels.
I might, one of these days I might re-download it. And
I was just thinking that. I was like, man, maybe I should re-download it.
Yeah. What was the first game that came out on Android? Do you know?
Oh gosh, how would I know? I don't know. I really don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like Angry Birds, or what was the other popular one? Temple Run was popular.
Yes, I love Temple Run. That was a good one. I remember another one of the first games that was shown to me, probably by Dana, because you got an iPhone before I did, right?
I believe so.
I remember the first iPhone I got was an iPhone 2 or 3 that was a hand-me-down from my dad, because he got a new phone when the 4 came out or something, and then he gave me his old 3. And that was my first iPhone. It was definitely more blocky than the phones nowadays. And it wasn't quite as lounge.
She was thick.
Yeah, and I still have it. I still have it in my room at home. I still have the case for it and everything, because it's kind of, it's like an artifact now. And it still works too. I don't have any of my stuff on it anymore, but like you can still access the internet and stuff. I just can't really go into any of my apps because we kind of discontinued the system on there. But a game that I remember was, I don't remember what it was called. I can't remember what it was called, but it was like a wooden board that was in some sort of shape, and there were shurikens flying around on the inside. And what you had to do is you swiped your phone to cut off a piece of the wood without hitting the shurikens. And every time you have to get a certain percentage of the wood cut off of the shape without touching the shurikens. But every time you cut off a piece, there's less area for them to bounce around inside, so that it's harder not to hit them.
I remember what you're talking about. I can't remember.
You know
what
I'm
it's
talking
called
about?
either.
It was another one of the first games, and it was really like addicting and fun because there were like, you know, each level had a different shape of a board that you needed to cut out. So you had to be really strategic with how you made your slices to figure out if you made a cut in like in the wrong place, it made it very hard later not to touch one because of the shape that was left. So you have to kind of be careful about how you did. Do you know what I'm talking about, Cassie?
No, I've never heard of that game before.
It was really cool, and I'm so annoyed that I can't remember the name of it. I'm sure I could find it.
I'm sure you could Google it. What is it? Wood cutting game.
Well, you
Shuriken?
don't need to. I think maybe I should look it up because you've never played it, so you wouldn't know. But if I saw a picture
No, I
of it, I would
wouldn't.
know. I'm gonna say
Yeah.
no, wood cutting game with.
Is it called Eye Slash?
Yes,
Yes.
I think so.
Sounds like an Apple thing, so definitely never.
Yeah,
never
it was.
saw
Yeah,
that
it was
before.
Eye Slash. That's what it was called. Yes, it was cool. And are you seeing the pictures on Google Images and stuff?
Yeah, yeah.
Those are the different shapes, and like, I'm not sure. I think this one actually, a lot of these images I'm seeing are updated.
Yeah.
The game must have been updated, which I'm sure it was. That was one that kind of stood out to me. And then, of course, Temple Run came along.
I feel like another game that's kind of standing out to me is Cut the Rope with the little frog, and you have to feed the little candies to him, but make sure that the rope kind of lands in the frog's mouth.
I've never heard of this game.
Really?
Wait,
No.
really? I never played it personally, but I've definitely like heard of it.
Show me a picture.
I've seen
Pull up
it.
a picture.
It was a fun game. There were a bunch of different levels. You've seen this before.
Yeah, you must have.
Oh, I
seen
have.
it.
Is that old?
Yeah, it's an old game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I recognize the picture. I've never played it or seen gameplay footage. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not a huge.
Oh, another one is
And you have
sorry,
to like
go ahead.
get the stars when you cut the
maybe.
rope
Maybe, yeah.
along with it.
I'm not a huge fan of mobile gaming. I don't play a lot of games on my phone, especially not anymore. I'm more of a PC gamer and a console gamer, especially. I love console games, so I don't really play games on my phone anymore. But you know, in a little bit of middle school and for part of high school, I did for sure.
Yeah.
And you know, you would see people playing. You know, there'd be, you know, whatever game's hot at the moment. You see everyone playing it in class if they're not paying attention and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know how it is. Did you guys ever play Jetpack Joyride?
I've never even heard of that.
Oh,
But
Jetpack Joyride's really fun.
Yeah, I heard that you like it. I never played that.
It's one of
Because
those.
I didn't get my phone until Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I didn't get a phone until I was like 16, so I missed out on the earlier.
Oh yeah,
games.
that's right. Okay. Yeah, no, Jetpack Joyride was really fun. It's like Temple Run, except it's a side scroller instead of like a first person or third person thing. It's one of those games where it's like, how far can you get?
Mhm.
Just like Temple Run. I guess let's jump back to Temple Run for a minute. Temple Run is the best.
I love that game.
And like unlocking the different characters, like getting enough money. Like you just go each level just to grind money to get the different levels and then the upgrades and stuff for the power ups, and that was cool.
I remember with my cousins, we would have a contest. All four of us would play Temple Run and see who got the most coins and who could run the farthest. It was
Yes.
so fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. How much do you play that, Cassie?
A fair amount actually, because before I did get my phone, I had a tablet, and so I did have some of those games. I had like Angry Birds and Temple Run on the tablet, and it was fun. And I remember like I would play it a lot in places where I didn't have Wi-Fi, but it actually like sucked up a lot of data. But it was fun. I enjoyed it a lot.
And they had Temple Run 2 and stuff like that. And then
they soon transferred over to Subway Surfers, I believe.
I was gonna say that. Was that made by the same company?
I have no idea, but it was generally the same kind of
Oh, it's the same
idea
concept, for sure.
and concept.
Yeah, Subway Surfer was cool too. Again, like all the core little boards you can get and upgrades.
You could pick different characters as well, kind of just like Temple Run, but it was kind of more of an updated game.
It was a little more creative. Yeah. I always loved trying to save up enough money to get those really cool big boards.
Oh, yeah.
Like the ones that had like cool effects. The ones that, yeah.
And they had different themes as well. So when you would get down to like Christmas time, they'd have like Santa chasing you instead of a cop.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the place would be designed different. That's cool. Yeah. I played Super Hexagon on it. And the Impossible game. The Impossible game.
I remember those.
That's an oldie too. Actually, the Impossible
game.
Oh,
like Geometry Dash too.
Yeah, well, Geometry.
Oh,
okay,
gosh, I love
Geometry
that.
Dash came after the Impossible game. The Impossible game was the original Geometry Dash. People tell me all the time, and it annoys me because like, it doesn't annoy me, but they're like, yeah, they're like, the Impossible game ripped off Geometry Dash. No, it's the opposite. Geometry Dash came out after the Impossible game. It's based off of the Impossible game, because the Impossible game, unlike Geometry Dash, has 4 levels. That's it. It has 4 levels. And it doesn't have all these crazy like things where you could change into the ship and start moving differently, or the ball. Like, it doesn't have any of that stuff. They're just the cube.
Oh, okay.
It did in some of the levels it like goes upside down and stuff like that, but that's about as as wild as it gets. So yeah, that was what it was at its base, and I can't remember if the Impossible game started as a computer game or a mobile game, but it's on both. But yeah, Geometry Dash definitely took it several steps further. And I know you both have played Geometry Dash.
Yeah, I used to play that all the time in middle school.
Tell me your
I love that game.
Yeah, tell me your experiences with it, Cassie.
Oh, well, it was just really fun. I don't remember who introduced it to me. I think it was like one of my younger friends. That sounds creepy. One of my friends who was like 3 years younger than me, and she was showing me because it was like popular in her grade, and so I was playing it, and then I introduced it to some of my friends as well. I really like the music and like how challenging it got as you got to more levels, and like now you can make your own levels, and there's even more levels than when I first started. So I think it's still very popular.
Yeah, that was a big thing. You can make your own levels. That was kind of cool. And also, you could also download custom levels that people made, of course.
Oh, yeah,
which is cool.
yeah.
And also, you could also use custom music in your levels, if they were like, if you could like get it verified or whatever. But you would have to download the music. You would have to download the music to the game for custom tracks. So it would take up more space if you downloaded custom tracks, because it needed to take up space on your phone or whatever mobile device you're using. And then there's like the what are those types of games called? The matching games and with
like
the
Candy Crush.
Yep, Candy Crush.
Candy Crush, yeah.
I have stories about Candy Crush.
That came out in 2012, and what is it now? 2021. People are still playing it.
Yeah, people are still playing it.
I see them playing in class, like on their phones when they're walking to class. People are still obsessed with that game, and it's been over a decade, or almost a decade.
That's impressive, honestly.
Yeah, that's crazy. Dana, did you ever play Candy Crush that much?
I've played it. I wasn't too obsessed with it, but I have played.
What about you, Cassie?
I didn't play Candy Crush, but there was like, do you know like Facebook Messenger used to have, or it does still have games, but so like Facebook Messenger has games that you can play, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so sure. So there was like a Candy Crush kind of version, or like a similar game to Candy Crush. And I think it was called Cookie Crush. But it was really fun, and I loved to play that in high school. Like I would do that a lot. And I'm sure they're very similar. So I get the appeal. Yeah. Like it's fun to like match the things, and also if you're competing with your friends, like it's even more fun.
Yeah, no, I get the addiction. I understand the addiction, and I was hooked on it for a little bit too. But yeah, there are tons of games like that have copies of them all over the place. There are so many games that are exactly like that, but they just have different themes. Some of them are based off of movies or TV shows or certain themes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess one of the big ones was Candy Crush, and I remember when soon after that came out, I was with my cousin, and we thought the game was really cool, and we started playing, and we were like, "This is really fun. This is really fun." And we did get addicted for a little bit. We got addicted up until the point where we got to levels where the game just became so hard that we were like, "All right, this isn't fun anymore."
Oh.
And also these slot machine like matching type games are all luck based. So like,
Oh yeah.
They are.
so it's
yeah.
like that's also kind of what turned me off of it. I don't particularly like luck based games because, when you play a video game, a lot of the times you want to feel accomplished. And like
Yeah.
you want to feel accomplished. So when you lose at a video game, knowing that it's your fault you lost gives me more of a reason to want to try again. But if it's like, it's the game's fault, the game is what was making me lose, or it's the game's fault because I lost because of luck, that doesn't make me want to play it as much again. Because I was like, well, I just have to hope to win, like,
Yeah.
and that's a big thing. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that?
I agree. I mean, I think something as like simple as Candy Crush, I don't think like I would be as upset about. Can you even lose Candy Crush? Like,
Yes.
I don't think I would be like as upset about losing because like it's a really simple game. If it was something more complex or like a longer game, like League of Legends, like that would make more sense. Like about being frustrated.
Or
at
if it was
something
like
luck-based.
a game like Mario and you've like made it past all these levels and you beat this one person, like you feel more accomplished with that, I feel like.
Yeah.
And also, Mario has a story.
Yeah, that's true.
Candy Crush tries to make it so that it has like a story, but like again, like there's only so much story you can have around a game where you just match candies on a board. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They try and hype it
Yeah.
up with like some cool. Now you meet the Tooth Fairy over here, and now she has to.
What?
She asked you to do quests, which are just more levels. Basically, it's a really fancified way of saying, oh yeah, we have more levels for you to play that are getting harder.
Basically to keep your target audience,
Engaged.
connected and engaged to the game.
And they also had the leaderboards after each level. Yeah, they had leaderboards you could see like how you like did with your friends. And then once you lost a level enough times on Candy Crush, you would run out of lives. And there was a timer you had to wait out until you could play again, until you could try again.
No.
Now that was annoying, but it also got you addicted. And what it did for a lot of people was you can get more lives without having to wait by paying money.
Money.
Oh yeah. They would make you pay money
or
for
you could
them.
also, or if you were connected to Facebook, you could like ask friends on Facebook for lives or something like that. That was another thing that was weird too. But I didn't even have a Facebook at the time, so yeah, it was just like it was weird. But like that's another huge topic that we could probably take the whole episode to discuss. But we can discuss it briefly. Of just how much pay to win things there are in games now, because there's a lot. I'd say mobile gaming.
I hate that.
You can like buy your wins basically.
Yeah, or you just can't buy certain like skins or things that make or additions to the game unless you like download, the premium version, or you just in-app purchases.
Yeah.
Which there are those with almost every app, even apps that aren't even game related. Like. You'll download like a flashlight app and you'll say, oh, well, in order to make your flashlight turn red or green, you need to download the premium version that costs money.
Yeah.
I didn't know they made
you only get the bare bones. I know way back when they made these games, there were free versions of the game and then there were, paid versions of the game which had more content unlocked for you. But the free versions were called like Angry Birds Light. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they do that anymore.
Geometry Dash Light.
I don't think they call things light anymore, do they?
There was like Cut the Rope Light as well. I don't know if they do that still.
They might not. I'm really out of touch with the mobile gaming scene right now. But yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Of course now, there are a bunch of games like that on the phone now. There's like Clash Royale, clash of whatever. They have very similar names sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting to like look at mobile games today, and a lot of them are originally based off of web-based games or like games that you could play on your computer, like Minecraft and League now has their own mobile game.
Wild
Uh,
Rift.
Don't
Yeah,
Starve Together, which we also play, has their own mobile game.
that's true. They're
All
coming.
those like those .io games like Slither and Agar.io or whatever, like they have their mobile versions because I think it's just such a profitable area of games to get into because everyone's always on the go and you always have your phone with you, and so why not just play some games while you're away from the computer?
Yeah, that's true. It's a good way to get people for real. Which is
Yeah.
good that they're branching out. But I still always preferred PC and console. Just because I don't like screen touch controls as much.
Oh
I'm just
yeah, those are a little difficult.
they're good for some games, but for something like League, like I could never imagine like really trying to touch the screen to control. But that's also because I've played it
I
for
actually
years.
did. I was gonna say I actually did try the mobile. I forget what it's called now.
Wild
But like the
Rift.
mobile league game. Yeah, yeah, and it was interesting. I do prefer the PC version, but I think moving it to mobile was successful for them, which I'm surprised with. Um, and it's pretty cool. It was interesting, just not my something I could really get into.
What about what was the game? Flappy Bird.
Flappy Bird.
Mm,
the game that
yes.
the game that
Everyone was obsessed
that
with that game and
yeah,
trying to make it through all the levels like in one day.
that game that was like that game that people got so angry over that people started breaking their phones, and then
With the tubes and trying to get through.
the
all
game got
the-
removed from the App Store because people got so
Yeah.
angry, and then there were immediately like a bunch of there were immediately a bunch of
Rip-offs.
clones of it that came out after, so that people could still play it. And now there are a bunch of different
Yeah.
ones. There are a bunch of different ones that are based off of other like movies or games or
Yeah.
themes or whatever.
What
or
was
at the
what
same
was your
time.
highest score? Do you remember, Drew?
No, because I never played it. I played it
Really?
once. I played it once, and I was like, okay, this is stupid. And then I got pretty far too.
Wow.
I played it once, and I got pretty far than I saw a lot of people doing. And I was like, well,
Huh.
not really my thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I typically like more content in a game than just mindlessly
That's
running.
true.
Yeah.
So like instead of having like something that just that just continually goes on forever, I prefer having levels that get harder and then have different themes and that are creative. That's
Yeah.
what I like.
Like Mario.
That's a great example.
Yeah.
Or games that are just that have just things that you can unlock. Things that you can work toward. Either that or games that have like a story with it. Something that you can learn with, or that you can learn the story and kind of connect with the characters in the game or what's going on. That's what I like. It's creating that experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where I think the best games really come in. Is games that create that experience, or some that even immerse you into the game, make you feel like you're there. Okay, so this brings us to the question of the day. We're putting the question of the day at the end of this episode instead of in the middle. And my question to both of you and to all the people out there that are listening are, what mobile game do you think you've played the most? So what game do you think you have the most hours playing?
I would say probably Among Us last year when it was extremely popular. I would play in my dorm with all my friends. We'd spend like hours like at night playing all together. It was so much fun.
Yeah. I honestly I hadn't even brought up Among Us yet. But that's a huge one that's still going.
I didn't know what it was until everyone started talking about it and playing it. I was like, what is this game everyone's talking about? And then I downloaded it. All my friends got so excited about like everyone playing it together. Yeah, it was just so much fun. Like the imposter and like killing up like your friends and like kind of, and just like being in the same room and like everyone trying to like see the imposter's like face and trying to like hide it, and like it was so much fun.
It's cool. Yeah, it's definitely it's a cool concept for a game. What about you, Cassie?
Yeah, I would say I used to play this farming game called Heyday, and I loved it. Like from like middle school, I think all the way like through high school, I would love playing Heyday. It's kind of like what's that other like really popular farming game? I forget what it's called. There was a popular farming game.
I don't know what you mean by
Farmville. It was like
Farmville.
Farmville
Yeah,
but
probably
better.
Farmville.
Yeah. But yeah, I still love like the cute little farming games. They're so fun. So I love that game a lot, and I think I definitely put a lot of hours into that.
Oh, awesome. Now, by farming, you mean like not like one of those automatic like cookie clicker games, right? Is that what you mean by farming, or you mean
Oh
like it
no, no,
actually
no.
based
So
off of?
like no, it was cool because you could grow your own crops, you could decide what crops to grow, and then you can fulfill like some orders for the town so that you get money, and with that money you can build new things like a pie making thing and a clothes making machine and like all sorts of stuff. So it was like building your own farm through growing,
And
if
then
that
you can
makes
like
sense.
branch off into other,
Yeah,
professions with the
yeah, and
town.
then yeah, and so I enjoyed that. It was relaxing, and I mean you could certainly pay money, like real life money, to get further in the game faster. But that's never been my thing. But I always enjoyed it since I was little.
Ooh, awesome. Well, thank you both for joining me today on this episode of ControllerCast. I really appreciate having you guys on.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun talking about
Yeah,
this.
thank you, Drew.
And thank you all at home for listening to this episode. Again, I'm Drew, your host. I was joined today by Dana and Cassie, who is calling over the internet. Dana, you can find her again on Instagram at dw.lin01, and you can find me as TP Wisengame on YouTube and Twitch, where I do gaming content and music content. So that's all for today. Thank you for listening, and good night.